and I'm honoured to be joined in the studio now by the Right Reverend Doctor, I think I got that all in, Jill Duff. Jill, hello.
Hello.
Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you, Jason.
You have become the new Bishop of Lancaster. A huge achievement, not something that happens every day. Give us a bit of a sense of your path and your story up to this point.
Well, the last week has been very busy. So on Friday we had a big ceremony in York Minster, where over 40 bishops gathered from across the north and across the country, as well as friends and families and supporters. And it's a ceremony called a consecration, which is like where the church calls down the Spirit of God to empower me for this role. It's very formal, and there's a lovely party afterwards.
Well, that sounds good. Both parts, of course.
Yes, of course.
This took place in York Minster. Why did it take place in York Minster when you're sort of for Lancaster?
So York is like the capital, the church capital of the north.
Right.
It's been an ancient Christian seat since I think since about the 2nd century, actually. So an incredible place. It's also the biggest medieval cathedral in Europe.
It's beautiful too, isn't it?
Quite something, yeah.
I bet that was a huge occasion, a life-changing occasion for you.
I did try and tweet afterwards, and I felt there was no words to tweet. It was quite something, and I was just full of thankfulness and joy, really. And
going backwards slightly in the story then, to give us a sense of your pathway up to the point of being made the bishop, of being consecrated, because you were a vicar first, weren't you?
That's right. So I was ordained as a vicar 15 years ago to the day of my consecration. So I've served in urban parishes, I've been a school chaplain, I've worked in training, and most recently I was the founding director of St Mellitus College North West.
And what is that college?
So it's a college that's aimed at training vicars. We've got a shortage of vicars in the Church of England at the moment, and in the Northwest in particular there was no full-time way of training to be a vicar, and that really hit our numbers.
So if somebody wanted to train as a vicar, there was no actual way of doing that. If they're in the Northwest, they had to go somewhere else.
They would go down south or up to Durham, or they could do it very part-time alongside a job, but that's quite demanding if you've got a family. So the bishops, I had to go and see all 15 bishops. This is 5 years ago, and put together a case of, can we partner with this college in London that does more of a sort of apprenticeship model of training where you're studying and you're working for a church. And the outcome of this was this partnership with St Mellitus College in London, and it's really grown incredibly, actually. There used to be a college in Birkenhead called St Aidan's College. They've got an interesting story, because back in the 1840s, if you wanted to train to be a vicar, you either went to Oxford or Cambridge and they just made you a vicar, or you could go to St Aidan's, and they had a vision of training people from all walks of life, the dockers, the labourers, the postmen. And you saw that in all their story right up to 1969 when they were closed. And we had a sense of almost calling to reopen
so something needed in the Northwest.
Something needed for people from all sorts of different backgrounds.
What sort of numbers of people are we talking about that have attended the college?
There's the whole cohort was 80, which was much bigger than the St Aidan's College had ever been. So in a year, about 35, 40. So one of the biggest colleges in the country.
And you mentioned when you started talking about the college there, that there has been and still perhaps is a shortage of trained vicars or people who are looking to become vicars. Why do you think that is?
Yes, so the Church of England is trying to increase the number by 50% by 2020. The Church
of England has targets.
The Church of England has targets, unbelievably. We do, unbelievably.
So what happens if you don't hit your target? No, I'm joking. Sorry, carry on.
We sack God, I think is what we do. No, only joking. So there's been a bit of a lull in vicars coming forwards, particularly in the 1980s. So what we have is, in the 1970s, a whole lot of guys are now retiring. There's a bit of a bunch there, a bit of a lull. And so we're trying to make up for that lull, where I think faith was lower in our country at that point. And people who presented to be vicars were told, well, go away and get some more experience, then come back. And often people just didn't come back. So we're trying to recruit people from all ages, backgrounds, stages.
Because it is a job in a sense, but it's also a way of life, a vocation, isn't it? Because it's much more than a 9 to 5.
Absolutely. And interestingly on that, there was a recent survey in the BBC about a year and a half ago where they looked at job satisfaction across a number of different careers. And top out of 250 was being a vicar. Can you believe that?
I can believe it. I can imagine it's quite a nice lifestyle.
Well, we just put 1 day a week, but there's a...
Really? Where do I sign up?
No, I didn't say that. No, I know. That's, I'm lying for that.
I'm sure you are.
We're joking, but anyway.
Let's return to yourself. Interesting to see how the college that you founded or had a large part in is doing well, and people are coming in now. But for you personally, now that you are the Bishop of Lancaster, what's your kind of vision for that role and how you see things changing and developing?
So I can sum it up in one word, and that's the word beacons. So Lancashire has lots of beacon sites across the hills, doesn't it? So I grew up in Bolton, and so near Rivington Pike there was a beacon on the hill. And Jesus said, you are the light of the world. Don't hide your light under a bush. So my vision is to see beacons, by which I actually mean men, women, children, actually on fire with the Spirit of God, shining the light of what I think is hope into the different communities they find themselves in. And I find this really well summed up in a short section from the film Lord of the Rings, which you may know about. There's a time in the film where the battle looks really desperate, things are not going well, and a little hobbit manages to climb up onto the tower and light the beacon. And you see this amazing cinematography of beacons being lit across the hills. And Gandalf says, hope has come. So that's what I would love to see.
I love your analogy there. So that's your vision. That's how you're going to bring...
That's one way of putting it, yeah. So I have
is it the word of God? Is that the right phrase?
The word...
Faith?
Well, yeah, I call it meeting Jesus, because I think Jesus wasn't just a historical character. He's actually alive. He can come and live in our lives. And if people meet the risen Jesus, my experience of their lives are never quite the same again.
Indeed. Well, it's been lovely to meet you. Congratulations again
on
what is a wonderful achievement. I'm sure you've got plenty of challenges to come. I'm sure you're going to do really, really well with your vision. But for now, Right Reverend Dr. Jill Duff, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you.